And season 2 of Bullseye kicks off. We've got Alex Golesh, we've got Mac Harris, we've got tremendous content for you. Thanks for joining us. Darek Sharp here, along with Bulls insider Caylee Cottrell and USF for GoUSFBulls.com senior writer Joey Johnston, who is so good with writing that he's actually writing an article right now. You can't tell, but he's so good at it.
Writing it in my head.
As you guys seriously are, first of all, welcome back. Great to see you.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Officially, I see them pretty much every day, but officially on camera, we're back together. But they are the two people that get to see, from the media angle anyway, more of Bulls practice than anybody. So before we get to the bulk of the show, I know it's a lot of experiences that you had during the offseason watching the team, but maybe one general theme that stuck out, Caylee?
Yeah, man, I mean, first thing that comes to my mind is the first time I saw our guys after the offseason was their size. I feel like, I'm like, how did it seem like every one of our guys put on like 20 pounds of muscle? They're huge, and they were the most fit I have ever seen them. But I mean, that first week of fall camp though, fall camp fit is a different type of fit. So once they hit that, after they got through about the first week, by week 2, they were in the best shape I have ever seen them. They've been so fun to watch. They were so excited. Day 1 of camp was so much fun. They were having so much fun out there. It was a blast to see them back. And,
well, I'm glad to hear the team is in shape.
And the level of comfort too, like the level of
That's
year
big.
2. Like, I mean, to have the success they did in year 1, and the fact that they were strangers, not really strangers, but kind of strangers, and now it's year 2, the level of comfort they have with each other, you can see it. They just know each other now, and so it's been a ball to watch them have so much fun.
Yeah, it is a lot of the same guys, but a totally different group in a good way. And I was saying, it's glad that they got into shape. I did not get into football shape for this show, but I tried anyway. Joey, what about you? What stuck out?
You know, I think confidence would be the word that's in my mind, and Alex Golesh will tell you there's real confidence and fake confidence, and he believes this team has real confidence, and I do too. And it's, you know, let's face it, before the Alex Golesh era started, the team had gone through a stretch where they hadn't won many games. Last year showed them that they can produce on the field and do big things, and I believe they are capable of even bigger things, and you can see it in just the way they carry themselves, the way they play during on the field during practice, and I think it's going to translate to the game day field this year. So overall, just confidence and belief is at the highest level that I've seen in many, many years.
There's some big things there. Joey and I will sit down with the head coach in just a couple of minutes, and then it'll be Mac Harris sitting down with myself and Caylee Cottrell, who's been busy with some of the off-season stuff. That's next, and then stay tuned with yours truly and the head coach with Joey.
Have a very robust fan base. Even our staff, you see them around the city doing so many different things, and I like it because this event is like a magnet before the season. It pulls everybody together, gets everybody in the same atmosphere, gets everybody excited about USF football.
Man, it just speaks a testament of the Tampa community. You know, they've embraced us and welcomed us with open arms, and they've showed their support this past season, and I can't wait to see what they do this season. We appreciate them, and we love them so much.
I feel like the guys work hard for this, and just being able to see that we got the support behind us, man, it makes us want to, you know, push a little harder, knowing we got the fans, sold out crowd today, and we know big things coming.
Back with the head coach for year number 2 on Bullseye, Alex Golesh with Joey Johnston. And Joey wrote a great story on GoUSFBulls.com all about Coach AG. And so just to summarize it in 2 main points, and also do you answer to this now? How's it going, skinny 40-year-old? Lost some weight during the off season, turned 40. Other than that, not much going on, football kind of things. How was your off season?
Off season was awesome. I've gone, you know, it's been 2 year 1s in 4 years. Year 1s destroy your body, and so no more year 1s for a while. And I had to get something going. I haven't reached my fitness goals yet by any means, but I'm at least on track. I started back to working out a little bit, and challenge for my wife and my kids, and we attacked it.
Awesome. And that's the thing where I won't say how old I am, but I am old enough to have had the clothes size of Husky, which I wore as a youth. That was my motivation, but it sounds like you had some outside motivation. And now I know you haven't been asked this question all off season. major difference between entering year 2 and entering year 1? I know the short version is probably you've got a lot of stuff established. That's got to be the big thing, but what else?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is we felt like we laid a foundation. You know, you spend year 1 setting standards for everything in your program, and you know, I felt like I was prepared to go in and do that. But I think as things come up, you're constantly saying, man, I didn't realize I needed a standard for that. Yeah. But everything from your off-season program to nutrition to sports medicine to academics to truly how you want to handle a bye week to a bowl game to adjusting processes with all of it. That's on top of hiring a staff, establishing processes in recruiting and offensively and defensively and special teams. And so you feel like going into year 2, you can say, man, we'll do it like we did it last year, or we did it last year, here's the notes from what we didn't like, we got to adjust it this way. You're tweaking, you're adjusting, you're very rarely having to just reestablish from scratch. And so, you know, I think in a lot of ways you've been able to work on detail. And where I feel like we fell short in a lot of areas a year ago was the true fine-tuned detail of every single thing within our program. And I feel like going into year 2 now, we've detailed so many things out, and I don't think we're perfect, and I don't think we're close to certainly our potential, but we're well on our way there. I certainly feel more comfortable here in year 2, just understanding of the environment we're in, understanding small things, but things that are critically important. Even something as little as how we take care of these fields and the moving around on these grass fields during practice, moving around as the season goes, little things to where we'll make a difference in some way. Certainly feel a lot more comfortable in recruiting, understanding where we sit, where we can go, our shortfalls a year ago, and then at the end of the day, understanding our roster and understanding how to use the guys on our roster within our schemes so much better going into year 2, because you've got proof of concept, and now you can go attack it.
You mentioned all the things you had to do in year 1, and it's a long list. Now year 2, and you mentioned comfort level. At what point do you battle comfort level versus complacency? And what I mean by that is, are you always looking for something to be on edge about and not just think, year 1's over, you know, we got this now? How do you stay on edge?
Yeah, I feel like I'm more on edge than I've ever been, because you feel like now that processes are established, you expect them to be elite, and you expect the result to be elite because you feel like your process is. And when the result's not what you want, you get even more worked up about wanting the result to be different. And so I think we've raised the standard within our program in every aspect, which now allows you to stay on edge. And I don't know if I've ever been complacent in my life in terms of professionally, and I don't see myself heading that way. But I think as we've detailed things out even more, you've had more things that need to be corrected or more things that need to be upheld. And in an organization this size, as I'm growing and learning myself, you know, and we just keep hiring people to do things, in an organization this size, there's always something that can be better. Whether it's the personnel itself, whether it's the process that they're going about their business, or simply we just need a better something. And I think as I've had time, you know, to reflect and had time to go out and see different things being done, I've challenged myself to make sure that we are attacking it such that we are the best in the country at what we're doing, whether it's offensively and defensively, whether it's nutrition, whether it's strength, whether it's supplements, whether it's sports medicine, small things like how we hydration test our guys every day. There was a better way to do it, so we changed to the better way. How you practice, there's a better way to do it. We've gone to the better way. How we keep our kids safe, the prehab portion, the pre-practice, the rehab, the sports medicine advances are so crazy, and I feel like that's changing every year. So there's always something to be able to touch and adjust, and I've taken a lot of pride in not being a reactionary person and being proactive in everything. I've challenged our coaches in so many ways, foresee problems and attack them before they happen, which I hope is, and I guess I think is why we were able to lay a foundation quickly and be able to improve as the season went, because we were able to foresee problems as they went a year ago. Now, challenge now is there's actually expectations on us, so how do we handle those?
Well, it's a good thing that we have a dozen or more of these shows to do, because you just gave me an idea for about 50 different questions that we'll get to. One is that you have a staff to handle NIL now, which I know is a big thing off your plate, but you mentioned raising the standard, and I love what I heard several players saying. It didn't sound like it was being fed to them. It was on their own. Like 6-6 was great. It was a big turnaround, but we have much bigger things in mind. So do you sense that vision from the team?
I certainly do. I think the guys understand that the ceiling of this program is not 7-6. Darek, you were there.
Regular season, then
Understood. I think, and I say that jokingly, it's certainly not the standard for being an elite football program. And you can look at it two ways. You can say, man, good year, great improvement. And when I tell you, when people say that, I want to throw up, because to me, I remember that stretch in the middle of the season where we could not figure it out as a program. And those are what I lose sleep over. Certainly positive momentum finishing the year, and we'll take that in the recruiting portion of things. But in terms of what the standard of this program is that's not it. And I'm not hiding from that. I'm also guarded of how we get there. And we got to get there by building a program and a foundation, and then building on that foundation, rather than saying, man, we just need the best team we can get and then figure it out after that. We got to build a program with a foundation that we then continue to recruit, continue to develop, continue to retain, in order to be able to build a sustainable program that people can be proud of for years to come, rather than a one-hit wonder where we have a great year and then we falter because there is no foundation. And so that's the challenge. When we get to the ceiling will be fascinating, and I have no idea when that is. Obviously, I've said it 100 times, but we're in a race against ourselves to get there as fast as we can, and whenever we're ready for that moment, we'll all see it together.
So I have a friend who's a super USF football fan. I think he's been to almost every game played, and he's always talking to me about it. And his thing now is, hey, we're going to score a lot of points with this team. How are we going to stop the other team from scoring? How's the defense going to be? And I think the fans, that's their general thing. They trust the offense. They're not sure about the defense. So what do you say about that? How will the defense be better this year?
Yeah, I think you should tell your buddy to be more optimistic. Can't live life all
he is optimistic.
Always worked
his
up.
buddy's name is
he's
Joe
behind
Johnson.
you. But he trusts but verify.
Gotcha. Understood. I think really on both sides, I feel like in a lot of ways we left a ton out there on offense a year ago. And traditionally in this scheme, year two, you take a jump, especially when you can bring a quarterback back that understands it and knows it. I think defensively it's exactly the same. We don't hide behind what we inherited defensively, and it was rough. And it wasn't a personnel issue as much as there was a lack of belief, and there was a lack of camaraderie, and there was a lack of effort in a lot of ways at times. And so the first thing you got to do is learn to believe in a system, believe in a coaching staff, believe in each other, and build trust. There was such a ripple divide on that side of the ball, and I thought it was fascinating to how we were going to attack. And I think Coach Orlando and that staff have done a really good job of, before any scheme, anything else, just instilling a belief that if you play really hard on defense and you run to the football and you make attempts at the ball, good things are going to happen. And we went into year one, and you saw some highs as highs got, and you saw there was several games where the defense won those games for us. You talk about the bowl game, man, like scoring defensive touchdowns. That Navy game, first road win in a long time in our conference, scored twice on defense. And so there was these high moments in the season, and there was lows as well. And so after the season ends, you sit down, you say, man, how do we fix it? And just like we do on offense, just like we do on special teams, just like we do within the entire program, we went out and recruited like crazy. I feel like we've got some really big-time pieces, really on all three levels. Address the secondary needs with some big-time guys in the defensive backfield that I'm so excited for our fans to see with Ruck and Brent Austin and DeMarco Augustin and these guys that I mean, Kawan Banks is a special football player, and you add those guys into this group of guys that are now a year older, a year more confident. I'm excited to see what that group does. because the way that they've attacked spring ball into summer and into fall camp, there's this resounding energy and confidence. They built a ton of trust within that group. They certainly trust their coaches. How that defense has melted with the offense in terms of the trust. They truly feel like they're playing for each other right now. Now, it's all easy until there's real adversity that strikes. So you could tell your buddy will find out at the same time for anybody.
Yeah, we're all looking forward to it.
Banks and Ruck, a couple of high school teammates that started off at SEC schools. We're looking at the depth chart for the first time right before we tape this show, and it is great to see a lot of familiar names. Getting the Charleston Southern long snapper, don't think I didn't catch that, Garrett Cates, but also a quarterback. And for the first time since I've gotten here, which was 2017, this is the first time that there has been no talk, no question about who your starting quarterback is. But going back to not being complacent at any point, with that knowledge, I'm sure he could be complacent, but Byron Brown is just the opposite, correct?
Yeah, completely the opposite. He's attacked this offseason in such a mature way. He's here every day. He's here all day. Just looked at his class schedule last week. It all happens to be online, so he's working on that while he's watching film a lot of the time. And you know, he's such a mature young man in the sense that he can listen and hear what people say in terms of, man, he just had this great year and all these yards and rushing yards and all these great things. And he'll tell you, man, it's the interceptions that cost us games. He'll tell you it's the fumbles that cost us games. He'll tell you it's the misreads that cost us games. And that is such a mature, competitive way to look at it. And he's attacked this offseason mentally. He spent so much time in here this offseason with Coach Gordon and Coach Perry and Coach Green. Those guys in that quarterback room have spent a bunch of time with him, just next level thinking, the way he's learned and understands protections now, the way that he's learned and understands run schemes. He should be able to continue to elevate his game in a big way. Physically, just, man, the offseason he's had from a nutrition standpoint, him and Connor are best friends. From a nutrition standpoint, him and Gio, and using our sports performance team and our sports medicine team, I mean, he spends the entire day here. He does his academics, which are critically important to him. He gets phenomenal grades, but he spends all day in here. And one, it's huge for him to continue to grow, but two, it's huge for his teammates. When you pull up to the facility and you see his Toyota sitting out there, you know he's here ready to go to work. And I think that's how it has to be. He's brought the other guys in that room with him. I think Bryce is the best version of Bryce right now. Izzy's the best version of Izzy right now. They've got Marcellus Tate, this young pup from Jacksonville, who I think has got a bright future. You got Ryan Bulldog, who's taken steps in there. So you elevate the play of the entire room by showing your maturity, and Byram is certainly that.
Thinking back to your first year when you did have to lay a foundation, and maybe there weren't a lot of things to sell at that point, but now you have this turnaround season. You've got a quarterback that certainly is an attractive thing to sell to people. You got a program that's very attractive from what it was 2 years ago. What's your opinion on how we go about making this into even bigger than what it was, filling the stadium, getting everybody in town excited about this team? Where do you think we are right now, and where do we need to go in terms of, I know you coach, you win games, but everything around it and making sure this is the best program it can be and a team that fills the stadium every week?
Yeah, you said it. I think about that all the time in the off season. I certainly don't think about that right now. I think winning is what at the end of the day solves all of those issues. You can create fake hype around with social media, and you can create fake hype with a lot of different things. And there's programs that do that. At the end of the day, you got to line up on a Saturday afternoon and go play ball. And I don't know if there's anything better than winning football games to sell that. You know, I think naturally in the course of a program, when you take over a program that hadn't had recent success and you have an influx, there's naturally going to be excitement. Sustaining success is way harder than building it. And so we're certainly somewhere in the middle right now, where we're still getting to a point where we have consistent success. And then when we get to that point, it's going to be sustaining it that's even harder. And so I don't know another way or an easier way to do it than winning football games. And there's so much that obviously goes into that. But people want to support a winner. People want to be a part of something that wins. I think there's a lot of auxiliary things that go into that. Certainly how we as a staff, myself, present ourselves. certainly how our players are in the community, certainly how our players are on this campus, the types of guys we recruit in terms of guys that are good human beings but have stories to tell that people want to support and people want to be behind. But at the end of the day, people want a winner, and you saw what basketball season looked like, the difference from December to the end of January into February. Man, like, everybody wanted to be a part of it. Everybody wanted to sit there and watch those games because we were winning. And at the end of the day, that's what people want to support. And it's my job to create a program that is consistent to where people want to buy tickets and people want to come support it.
Final question for Coach. Obviously, your team got to turn its attention to this week's opponent, Bethune-Cookman, a little bit earlier. How has their focus been, and maybe a word or two on the Wildcats?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we did a mock game week last week, which I thought was really, really good for us to go through with so many new guys here, to go through what does a mock week look like. So we've got, it's almost like coming off a bye week where you've got 2 weeks on the opponent, which is really good for us. They've been really intentional. I've loved the way our guys have worked. It's been a really mature approach. Told them this morning, and then certainly again after practice, the opponent is important to study and understand and know anything and everything about going into Saturday. For us, again, we got to go win today. And that's all that matters, is us having the best Tuesday we've ever had. And that means after practice, you eat lunch, get your rehab, your prehab, you go to class or whatever academic responsibilities you have, come back at 5:20, got special teams meetings, got position meetings, we clean the day up, you go eat dinner, you watch more film, and then you go to bed. And that's all there is time for. And all the other stuff we've sacrificed, and we'll continue to do so until January, where nothing else matters right now except that. And then when we wake up tomorrow, when we come in and we start with breakfast and hydration testing and weigh-in and taping, man, we got to make it the best Wednesday practice we've ever had, and taking it one day at a time, to where I think in elite programs, that's all that matters, is just the moment at hand and winning and being the very best version of us in that moment. The Wildcats present some unique challenges simply because on the offensive side of the ball, there's so many new bodies. There's really 2 guys with a third that played, some that return. And so you don't really know what you're going to get from a personnel standpoint. You know there's a handful of transfers that are going to make an impact for them. You certainly know schematically, I said it earlier in the press conference, but you feel like you're watching us a little bit in terms of what they do schematically. Use tempo at times to challenge you, but we'll play in 11 personnel, we'll play in 10 personnel, we'll play in 12 personnel, present a bunch of different pictures with motion things to create mismatches. So it'll be a really good challenge for us, especially because we're going to have to get into the game, figure out who's who, and settle in early. Defensively, you know, it's kind of a different story. Return in the front 7, return 6 of those guys. So a bunch of guys that have played a ton of football, and then virtually an entire new back end defensively. But both coordinators return, so schematically you feel like you know what you're preparing for. Defensively, a coordinator that's coordinated for a long time, so you've got years of video to go back to and compare things. But really schematically you feel comfortable with what you're going to get. And I think the challenge for us is going to be able to come out and just execute at a high clip on both sides of the ball. You know, it's not going to be any tougher than what we see on both sides from each other, what we've seen. So for us to go play our game penalty free, for us to be able to go play harder than our opponent for longer. But I think these guys are going to present a challenge in the sense that it's an in-state team. You saw it a year ago where an FCS team comes in and, man, like, you're going to get their best swing. And this is a team that they just finished with their year 1. And they finished the year winning 2 out of 3 at the end, played the entire SWAC schedule really, really tight, lost to FAMU in the very last game of the year by 10. And I thought FAMU was as good of a team as there was in the country at that level, and really at any level, the phenomenal football team. And so these guys are going to be ready to play. A veteran coaching staff that has a bunch of ties here, and they'll be ready to roll.
Head coach included, and FAMU didn't lose another game last year, by the way. Thank you so much for all the time, Alex.
Thank you guys. Go Bulls.
So on that schedule is a planned Victory Sunday, which will be their second Victory Sunday of the season. A very special one has already taken place. Caylee Cottrell takes you through that next, and then after that, you won't want to miss Mac Harris.
Today is truly just about them giving more of themselves than taking from anybody, and it's my favorite night of the year.
Great opportunity for us to see how excited they get and how excited we get just to be here with them.
We had some of Tampa Bay's best athletes out here today. For me personally, it's just kind of a good reminder of how fortunate I am to be here.
It's easy for us to take for granted what we get to do every day. Come out here and practice. It's hot. We find it difficult, but to see some other people come in here that don't get to do this every day, it's great to be able to show them what it's like to not only be a USF Bull, but just be a football player.
And to the team to be able to share your love for the game with these cool athletes we had here today?
It means everything, man. You just see their faces light up every time they get a chance to score a touchdown or throw the ball even.
Most of them were here a year ago, so they saw the same faces, they saw the same players. It was super cool to be in the locker room, to see them reunited.
We're blessed to play this great game. We get to show them what we get to do on a daily basis is really fun, and especially for the Tampa Bay community, which we're all a part of. So it was a great day.
And our very first player guest of the season. And this guy is going to have to loosen up somehow. We're going to try and get him to talk if possible. MacArthur Harris III, right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
you also answer to Mac Harris.
Yeah, I do.
In year 5 with the Bulls.
Year
so you've
5.
seen a little bit.
Lord
I'm guessing this year has a different feel based on the build-up from last season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, being in year 2 of the playbook, I said it in media before, but being in year 2 of the playbook makes a big difference. It's been a long time since we've been able to, as a program, just be under the same coaching staff, same playbook, with some of the same guys. So, yeah, it's definitely a different feel for sure.
So I want to touch on a bit of your off season because I'm going to be honest, you were one of the guys who, when I saw after summer, I was like, oh, they've been putting in work. They've been putting in work. So talk to me about your off season and what went into that.
So off season started really January, just trying to focus on my body, and just like everybody else did, but trying to focus on my body, put the right things in my body as far as nutrition and stuff like that. And then, Coach Gio is going to be Coach Gio. So the weight room is going to be the weight room, and then conditioning is going to be what it's going to be. But really, for the most part, getting with Connor and the nutritionist team that we got. And they just helped me, man. Held my hand along the way, showed me what to eat, what not to eat, and then I got creative with it. Started looking up different meals and started making my own meals and stuff like that. And it really turned out to be something good.
Well, I have a quick follow-up then. It seemed like you have come back also with a level of confidence and swag that is just on another level this year. So talk to me about how that has kind of developed for you too.
Honestly, it came with the body transition, really. Like, I mean, I've always, before the weight gain and stuff like that, I was always confident, always loud, smiling, stuff like that. And then gaining the weight obviously dents your confidence, not really playing, going through injuries and stuff like that. But honestly, just putting all that aside and mentally just being locked in on the moment and just being like, I'm going to change my body and I'm going to help lead this team into what we should be. And then individually, it helped me as well.
We're going to get into your group in a second, but I got to go back to the food thing. You gave others credit, but you have to do the work yourself. So, what was the hardest food in general to realize that you can't eat either at all or not nearly as much? And then maybe you said mix it up. Tell people that are like trying to go through the same sort of transformation, what's a healthy food that actually is really good that maybe you didn't have on your menu that much?
All right, so I don't really want to, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Hopefully I get an NIL out of this. But Just Bear Chicken, right? There's a brand called Just Bear Chicken.
Sure.
It's really good for you, and it tastes just like Chick-fil-A. Like, I'm gonna be so honest. Just Bear Chicken.
Sold.
You can do. They got the spicy patties. They got the regular patties. You can do the nuggets, and they got tenders.
Ooh,
so you can. Hey, I'm a finger foods guy. Like, I'm not gonna. That was my weakness. Like finger foods, like burgers, chicken tenders, like just little stuff like that was my weakness. So when
For me, it's hand foods. You just get a handful and just boom.
Yeah, really, just both,
Yep.
So whenever I got to see that, okay, I can have the same exact foods, just make them differently. Like another meal was pizza, but I had to make it on my own. I had to get the flour, like the
I'm sorry, you made your own pizza?
Yeah.
Wow, the dough and all.
There were instructions. There's this guy on TikTok. I forget his name. I think his name's Ozzy Fitness or something like that. And he had an instruction on how to make like healthy pizza. And I started making stuff like that. I'm sending like, honestly, if I could send you guys the pictures, you'd be like, wow.
Okay.
I've got like
I gotta see them.
100 pictures I sent to Connor just over the course of the off season, just the stuff that I was doing. It was really creative. It was fun.
All right, so we did introduce you as MacArthur Harris III. Obviously, a line of, I'm guessing, loquacious sort of family. It sounds like it would just be fun hanging out with your family. Am I about right on that?
Oh yeah, for sure. Everybody's lively. Honestly, you never know what to expect. You're gonna get something different every single time. I love my family, honestly, man. And like I said in the media, just like really musically inclined. Like growing up, every family function you're at, music is blaring, like it's blasting. So yeah, just really fun family. Got me, my dad, and my granddad have the same name. And yeah.
All right, so everybody's probably figured this part out too. You can carry a conversation. So you mentioned before we started recording this that the linebacking group should have its own sort of podcast, if
100%.
not some sort of platform.
I can
100%.
see it. I can see it.
100%. Honestly, that whole room, like everybody in there is just like super intelligent, very well spoken. They might not show it, they might not act like it. We might look all tough and mean outside, but we're all pretty good dudes, man. We're all smart and intelligent, and we have great conversations, and we have actually hilarious conversations. So somebody please set the podcast.
Jalen Schuler, and you can give some other guys some shout out too, but he just looks like he is ready to say something funny, but like you say, look serious while doing it. Is that about right?
He's hilarious. Another hilarious guy. Jamie Petway.
Nice.
Hilarious. Aimer. Hilarious.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Reggie Johnson. Hilarious. These hilarious guys. But it's all low key. Like you wouldn't know unless you were in that room.
It was pretty funny too. He's your head coach. While we're talking about guys that transform their bodies and stuff like that, what's it been like working with him? And I people think of him as an offensive guy, but he is in everybody's business in a good way.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, me personally, I call him an offensive guy too myself sometimes, just to get to his head. But he played on the defensive side of the ball, so I know he's not one-sided on it. But I love that guy, man. He's real juicy, and like he came in with intention and purpose on what he was gonna do with us, and it wasn't like a thing where it was dictator. Like it was like he came in and he showed us that we had value. He showed us that we needed to have confidence and stuff like that. And like I don't think there would have been anybody better to fit for that position than him.
All right, there's an offensive guy that we're going to talk about that you have a lot in common with. Right. And of course, talking about the quarterback. What does he have in common with the quarterback? Eye-popping stats, because in high school, more than 2,000 yards career passing and more than 2,000 yards career rushing. So what have you taught Byron Brown?
What have I taught Byron Brown? I taught Byron Brown how to look people off. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm kidding. I haven't taught him a thing. High school was funny. So starting off freshman year, I played receiver, and then sophomore year, I tried to play quarterback and ended up getting hurt in the spring game. And my mom was like, they not gonna hurt my baby, no. So they put me back at receiver. And my coach, shout out Coach Pettis, my coach was like, nah, we gotta get you at quarterback. I'm like, Coach, she's not going for it. Like, she's not having it. And so then came back junior year, and they were finally like, okay, like we're ready for me to go to quarterback. And it was fun. I had a lot of guys around me that cared about football. Unfortunately, that didn't make it to the next level and stuff like that. But they cared about football at the time, and it was real fun.
Another one of your teammates that I see you having so much fun with is Mike Lofton. I spent quite a bit of time with both of you before the season. We went to the candle pour. They had a little face-off trying to make the best candle, the scents, this and that. You just have a blast together. Can you talk to me about your relationship?
Me and Mike got actually, so you know,
Mike's
update.
candle won, so I don't know if there was any saltiness there.
There wasn't. I cheered him on. I clapped for him. But me and Mike actually squashed the beef. So me and Mike, we had this ongoing beef throughout the off season. I was trying to build a beef for fall camp, so we could really just go at each other. And we did, and it's over, and now we're back friends. We hugged it out in the locker room, so we good now. A
little reconciliation.
Yeah, we on the same side now. We good.
It's amazing how candle making can do that. But just so I can set the record straight, when you're saying that Mike Lofton had his own candle, it wasn't like Wad de Mike Lofton. It doesn't smell like him, does it?
I hope not.
Okay. He did great. No, it actually
what did it
smells
smell like?
great.
What was the situation?
I can't remember.
It was very mild.
I know mine was better, but I just didn't get picked.
I was impressed by yours.
Honestly,
I do have to say.
Was that like a backhanded compliment right there? was that like a?
I mean
was
that
impressed,
so
but,
genuinely.
like,
I do mean that so genuinely.
bet.
I was impressed.
I thought I should have won. Honestly, I thought I should have won. But they gave it to Mike. Maybe they skewed the votes a little bit or something like that. I don't know.
Probably.
He's
Sean
their
had
favorite.
a good one too.
Sean did have a good one. I respected Sean's more than Mike's.
All right, well, that's some background to this
Shout
season.
out Mike Lofton.
All right, last thing. Hey, there's a game. There's a game this week. I know you guys have been building up to it. What are your thoughts about getting on the field for a great crowd at Ray J?
We excited. Like I said with the beef that me and Mike squashed. Like we've been going at each other, trying to make each other better. We're just ready to go at a different color.
All right, no buts. That was a great interview. You're one of my favorite players. Thanks a lot, Matt.
Thank you for having me.
We'll wrap it up next. Thank you for sticking to the end. No reason to tune away on Bullseye. And let's react first of all before we get you ready for this week's game and some other sports that are happening at USF. There's been 2 handfuls of games already, but Mac Harris.
What a guy.
Good linebacker, but great guy.
He's so much fun. I mean, he brings so much juice, so much energy to everyone around him. So to see him in practice, all month and what he's going to do this season, his energy is so infectious. He's so fun to be around.
You had some tremendous videos that people just saw, but you're always at work putting something together. I saw something for College Colors Week. Tell us more.
Yeah, College Colors Day coming up, and so the bookstore has their game day fits already and set, so did a video with them, and I figured, okay, if I'm looking for game day fits, the guys have their game day fit, so had to end it in some pads. So shout out Byram for doing that with me, and shout out Ben who let me use his pads. So I felt ready in those. Like, put me in. Put me in the trenches. I'm ready.
Watch the video. It's a good video. I got a kick out of it. I thought it was really well done. So I would highly recommend to watch that video.
I appreciate that.
I would highly recommend going to gousfbulls.com always. But for your story with Coach Golesh, we alluded to the weight loss, and he got expressive about that. But so much went into your conversation with him. Now, who was this reporter that went past the hour-long
that was
time?
me.
Okay, I figured that. I didn't know if that was your friend.
No, that wasn't my friend.
Okay.
That was me.
How fascinating is he endlessly?
Yeah, endlessly fascinating. As we all have, we have come along around a lot of coaches in our time in all sports, and Alex is a great interview. He's a great quote. He really gives great insight. He's fun to be around. But this was a real good look into, what he's feeling even beyond the football, his satisfaction and contentment with where he is in his life right now is at a very high level. Not that takes away from his intensity in any way, right? But he's a happy man right now. He likes where he is. He loves living here. He loves the way his family is feeling about living in Tampa. And he is healthy as he's ever been. Like you said, he dropped 25 pounds. He's getting in shape. So he's getting ready for this season. He's going to attack it with a vengeance. But this is a man that has found his second wind for his second year. I think we hope the Bulls will be even better. I think we're going to see a head coach that's going to be at a higher level this year too.
Like I always said, no more year ones for a while as well. That's Joey Johnston. You can hear him on my radio pregame show as we hit the air on Bulls Unlimited with your radio pregame as well on Saturday at 6. We've got a lot of other sports to talk about on our pregame show as well, with soccer and volleyball doing great things, but football is the main focus here, and we'll talk to you guys about the team's result against Bethune-Cookman and looking ahead to week 2. Thanks for joining us. Keep those horns up.